Corps. Some are a very direct route, high school to boot camp, college to OCS. For others, there's a not so direct route. And that was kind of the route that Wilson took. Yeah. Wilson's from Stonington, Connecticut, and he kind of started his journey towards the Marine Corps when he went to the University of Tampa. That's right, Tampa. And that's right, Spartan living down there in Tampa. And so again, some are on the 4-year track, some are on the 5-year track, some might be on the extended track. Wilson was on the extended track. So I won't say when he matriculated, but he did graduate in 1992 with a BS in education and a minor in history. And probably the thing that he's probably most proud of accomplishing down there is that that's where he met Megan. And Megan graduated in 4 years in 90. But as every graduate does, Wilson felt the need to celebrate his, making his way through the rigors of academia, and so decided to take a little European vacation before he finally, I think, all along knew where he wanted to be, which was the Marine Corps. And had thought about joining the Marine Corps while he was at Tampa, but honored the wishes of his father, Stu, and his mother, Lynn, and graduated and got his degree. And he found his way to the Marine Corps in enlisting in early 1994, and went to boot camp. And in the mortal words of Arlie Ermey as Gunnery Sergeant Hartman, 0311 infantry, you made it. And so Wilson earned the 0311 MOS and was assigned to FAST Company, Fleet Anti-Terrorism Security Team Company, headquartered in Norfolk, Virginia. And he got there in the summer of '94, and he was assigned the 6th Platoon, where he was then being led by then Captain, now Brigadier General Frank Donovan. And so he was well led and well mentored. And did a deployment, refuel, defuel mission to Puget Sound, Washington, and then came back. And then that's where, from that deployment, and that's where I first met Wilson. And that was in the summer of 1995 when I checked in as a platoon commander at FAST Company, and took over 3rd Platoon. And so at that time, there were 6 platoons in FAST Company. There was only one FAST Company, and it had some talented officers. General Donovan was a platoon commander there. Now Brigadier General Bone was a platoon commander there. I'm not sure how I got there, but I was there. But there was talented Marines and well-trained units in there. And a new company commander had come in and was looking to try to spread some of that talent across the company and into those other platoons. And so it was we were referring to it as the draft, the NFL draft. And so I won't say whether Wilson was a 1st round, a 7th round, or whether we picked him up off the waiver wire. But Wilson found his way to 3rd Platoon. And we were glad to have him. There wasn't a lick of wind earlier this week. But Wilson made it to 3rd Platoon, and I was damn glad to have him there. We were in the middle of working up for a deployment to Haiti. We were going to be taking about 50-plus Marines down there to work distributed security operations in and around Port-au-Prince and in the outlying areas. And I needed mature, capable, responsible Marines, as we had to organize ourselves into 5 squads. And Wilson was one of those. He had a level of maturity. He was referred to as the grand old man in the platoon. But he had a passion and focus that was tangible. And when you see that talent inside your unit, you leverage it and you harness it. My way of doing that was giving Wilson all the leadership challenges inside the platoon. And so, but he mentored them well, led them well, and at the end of the day, those Marines thrived under his leadership. And it was then that, from my perspective, he had demonstrated clear potential, for service as an officer. He had a college degree, thus making him eligible for commissioning. But all that extended time in college in Europe had kind of caught up with him a little bit, because at that time Wilson was too old for commissioning, and so, but as we learned in the Marine Corps, everything is waiverable, and so we submitted an enlisted commissioning package for Wilson, and it was denied. It was denied. But undeterred, Wilson continued to work hard and inspire and lead, and he continued to perform. And we had an opportunity where we got the security force regimental commander down to Haiti when we were down there executing operations, a guy named Colonel Bill Parrish. Got him a little FaceTime with Wilson, got him out on one of the missions with Wilson's Marines and his squad, and we resubmitted. Had a pretty strong endorsement from the regimental commander. And also, maybe divine intervention, but the Marine Corps raised its eligible age limits to 27 or 28. And Wilson left Fast Company in the summer of '96 and headed to 1-5 right here at Camp Pendleton. And where he checked in, I think by that point he was Sergeant Leech. And it was at the Marine Corps ball, and only fitting, that he was notified that he had been selected for commissioning as an officer in the Marine Corps. And so he quickly left 1-5 and went to OCC, Officer Candidates Course. We saved the best for those guys. They get to go to OCS in January. And so Wilson got the pleasure of busting ice on the Quigley. For us officers, we know what that means. It wasn't fun going through it in July, so I can only imagine what it was like going through in January and February. But Wilson graduated that spring. And I had the great honor, he asked me to commission him. I was still in Norfolk. And so made the drive up to Quantico. And again, one of the highlights of my career to have the opportunity to commission, Second Lieutenant Leech and take his, and watch him grow as an officer. So as every officer, he headed to TBS, and then once again, instead of 0311, 0302 infantry, you made it. Went to the IOC and became an infantry officer. Was assigned to 1-6 Hard in 2nd Marine Division. Served alongside the likes of then Lieutenant Dave Handy, now Lieutenant Colonel Dave Handy, who is here as the commanding officer for Advanced Infantry Training Battalion West. Did a deployment, with the 24th MU, and came back in late '99. So for those of us that have been around the Corps, we know, hey, first Fleet Tour officer, all right, B-billet, awesome. TBS, maybe go be an instructor. Maybe I'm going to go back to FAST, be a platoon commander, go to the drill field. Well, at that time, the Marine Corps had this thing called the Supplemental MOS Tour, right? And so Wilson gets selected to the Supplemental MOS Tour to be an 0102 adjutant. That's right, adjutant. For those of us that are grunts, that's like excommunication for a Catholic, or if you're a Steeler fan like Wilson and I, it's probably like having to live in Baltimore and root for the Ravens. But with that passion, with that drive, with that determination, Wilson executed his orders, and he checked into headquarters and support battalion here at Camp Pendleton, California. And as any good officer does, he bloomed where he was planted and created opportunities for himself. And he served his tour as an adjutant for 1 year, and then was given the opportunity to be a company commander for the support company for his 2nd year. And then by his 3rd year, he was the battalion operations officer. And so, again, bloom where you're planted, create opportunities, talent recognized. All the while there, he was able to manage off-duty education and earned his master's in business administration. So all this time, it's coming to the summer of 2003. So we know that 9/11 has occurred. By this point, one MEF and the Blue Diamond have completed the march up from Kuwait to Baghdad. It's the summer of '03. It's time for Wilson to leave headquarters battalion. And he's going to goes to the Maneuver Captain's Career Course at Fort Benning, prepare him to come back to the fleet as an infantry officer. He's assigned to 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines, the Magnificent Bastards. And every infantry officer as a captain has visions of serving as a rifle company commander. But we also kind of have how our assignment process works. We also graduate officers that will come out in the summer, coming out of expeditionary warfare school. Sometimes they get to the unit first. Some officers get there later. So generally we populate the officers that get there first into the rifle companies. And so when Wilson got there, rifle companies were full, and he was assigned into H&S company to be the company commander there. While not the most coveted, potentially viewed as the most glorious, without a doubt the most challenging company in any battalion, in any regiment. And while assigned in 2-4, Wilson and our Corps would face some of the toughest duty and most challenging fights. They would deploy to Ramadi, Iraq for OIF 2. And my words are not fitting. And so if you'll beg with me, I'll read the words of one of Wilson's fellow company commanders that he served alongside during that deployment. Wilson Leech had the call sign Pillar 6 in Ramadi because it was his responsibility to sustain and support the battalion. He did it very well. I'm glad Wilson had the job because I don't think any of the other commanders had the personality, wisdom, and patience for the job. He had a very tough and demanding boss and a nearly impossible mission, sustaining companies in non-contiguous battle space surrounded by passive and active enemy. As if managing the services and support was not enough, he had the largest company, led FOB security, and assisted the battalion XO in synchronizing a staff that was largely overworked in executing tasks for which they were not trained. As you probably know, the 1st Battalions in OIF 2 did not have a lot of training in mortuary affairs, casualty reporting, contracting, payment of SERP and salation funds or foreign claims. Wilson had a hand in it all. The battalions were not just designed to do all that in the early 2004. And a lot of it fell to Pillar 6 to figure it out. The Marine Corps has a great reputation because guys like Wilson make it happen. And the Marine Corps benefits by wearing out the shoulders of guys like Wilson. He did a lot more for the battalion than most will ever know because he did not complain about it or seek praise. He just made it happen. And that is the kind of guy he is. His performance and character is not unique to his service in Ramadi. He does it wherever he goes. On a personal note, I went through some rough times during that deployment. Wilson was my only counterpart on the FOB. He cared enough about to come by and see me, quite a bit. He helped me get whatever I needed. He made a huge difference in my life and helped me command better, and therefore affected the lives of many more. Wilson is one of the most unselfish men I know. That was then Captain, now Lieutenant Colonel Rob Weiler. And I think it's to be noted that during that deployment, 2-4 lost 36 Marines and had close to 300 wounded in action. During that deployment, Wilson was ably served by his then First Sergeant Joe Ellis, later was promoted to Sergeant Major, and was subsequently killed in his later deployment in 2007. I think those words are powerful and a testament to the leadership and the kind of man that Wilson Leech is. All the Marines through the courses of our careers constantly try to walk this fine balance between professional and personal, Corps versus family. And if truth be told, it's normally the Corps that wins out. But for all of us, the point comes, and rightfully so, when family must come first. For Marines, especially for ones who love the Corps like Wilson, those are hard decisions. But once made, there can be no regrets and no looking back. And I know that was the case for Wilson and Megan in 2005. And they knew that they needed to take a time and put their family first and take a leave of absence from the Corps. So we fast forward to 2007. We can call it a small world, a small core, fate, divine intervention, or just an imbalance in the force because Wilson wasn't in uniform. But the summer of 2007, Wilson and my paths would cross again. I was slated to stand up at Advanced Infantry Training Battalion West, right here. It was the first CO. My sergeant major was a guy named Tim Weber. Tim Weber had served in 2-4 with Wilson Leech. Tim Weber and Wilson Leech were neighbors. And so as Tim tells the story, Wilson's out one day cutting his grass. Kind of like Wilson from Tool Time, pops his head over the hedge and says, "Hey, Tim, hold on a second. I got to show you something." So he says, Wilson runs into the house and grabs out this manila envelope, pulls it out, and he's like, "It's a promotion warrant. It says Major." And he's like, "What do you think this means?" Tim says, "As only sergeants majors can." "Yeah. Well, I'm not a college graduate." "Dummy." Dumb officer. "Yeah. I think that means you're a major." Yeah. So he'd been promoted while I was in the individual ready reserve over those 2 years. And so Tim let him know that we were trying to stand this battalion up, and somehow mentioned my name. And Wilson said, "I think I know that guy." So we invited Wilson to the change of command, the activation for AITB West that summer. And the battalion at that time consisted of a sergeant major, me, a set of colors, a clerk, and a guy as an OPSO. And that was it. 05 command, you made it, right? And so I'm looking for help. And so here's Wilson. And I ask him, "How you doing? What's going on? How are things?" He's like, "Yeah, it's going okay. We're doing all right. What do you got going? A couple things here and there." I'm like, "Want a job?" Yeah. Because at that time, there was a lot of money around to activate people out of the reserves and bring them on active duty. And I was in need of capable help. And so that summer of 2007, Wilson put a uniform back on. We brought him back on through active duty special works. And I made him the XO for AITB West. He served on active duty special works until the summer of 2008. And we put in a return to active duty package. And it was accepted, approved. And so once again, I had the privilege of putting Wilson and commissioning back into active duty as a major in the Marine Corps. And while we didn't do it by design, you know, that first year didn't count against his active duty time. And so as far as the Marine Corps was concerned, his clock started for 3-year orders at AITB West. And so over that time, Wilson would wind up doing 4 years in Advanced Infantry Training Battalion as the XO. He worked for me, and Colonel Stephen B.N., who's here. And I think Stephen would agree with me that the AITB West that we have today, that so ably supports and generates infantry Marines, is it trains every single infantry MOS in the Marine Corps, -2, infantry officers and gunners. It touches every other one. It's largely a testament to the efforts, the commitment, and the hard work of Wilson Leech. Wilson, for a lot of that time, served as not only the XO, but he was the S1, the S4, the S6, the SUPO, the facilities officer, and did everything else that I didn't want to do. And had to figure out how to make all my good ideas come to life. But he birthed this battalion. He birthed this battalion. And so Tim Weber, Sergeant Major Weber, retired now, he sent me a note. He said, "Wilson's the hardest working, most caring and selfless person I've ever met. I've lost count of how many times he's helped someone out, paid for an event or a gift for a Marine out of his own pocket. Shoot, he lent my family, he's got 6 kids, his Suburban when our van broke down. I'm sure only no part of all that he's done for others, but mostly because he doesn't want credit for any of it. He and Megan are wonderful people. The decision to help Wilson get back on active duty was the least we could do for him, and it was one of the best recommendations I've ever made in my career. He continuously thanked me for helping him get back in uniform, but the pleasure was all mine for the things that he did and the things that he continues to do for everyone else." So it's 2011. Wilson's 4 years are up at AITB, and it's time to head back to the fleet. Not just the fleet, but the 1st Recon Battalion, where he's got orders to be the executive officer of what he thought would be the XO. But fate would intervene once again for Wilson, and to put his tireless persistence, unwavering commitment, and passion for his fellow Marines to test again, because he would be returning to combat in the Helmand provinces of Afghanistan, and he would do that with only about a month's notification. And so his battalion commander at the time, then Lieutenant Colonel, now Colonel Brian Gilman, he also sent me a note. He said, "Wilson was the long ball hitter in my battalion. When he was my XO, he stepped up and took on the OPSO duties in addition to his XO duties a month and a half before we were scheduled to deploy to Afghanistan. My current OPSO wasn't getting it done, and I had to let him go. There were no other majors available. And 2 weeks before our mission rehearsal exercise, Wilson jumped in with both feet as the OPSO and simply knocked it out of the park. We had a force cap on us, so we couldn't deploy with 2 majors. We only had to take 1. And up until that point, Wilson wasn't on the deployment roster. But he was going to go. And quoting our ops chief, Master Gunnery Sergeant Raybon, he said, "Wilson, he never mentioned the hardship that caused and only ever tried to focus on our mission. We didn't always see eye to eye, but I respected the guy immensely. The Corps needs more guys like Wilson Leech, guys that will put their head down and just start moving." Brian says, "I couldn't agree more. He was exactly the Marine leader 1st Recon Battalion needed. We needed him during that deployment cycle." Brian also gave me a couple other things that reminded me of you about Wilson. Wilson, he loved serve mark runs. For the deployment to Afghanistan, he packed two foot lockers full of doctrinal pubs and planning supplies. The guy loves planning, whiteboards, butcher block, dry erase markers, you name it, yellow stickies. Wilson's all about it. He said, "During the latter half of our deployment, we conducted battalion air assault raids into enemy safe havens. Wilson tried in every raid to figure out how we could get tanks into the fight." His grunts, "You want a tank? You need a tank. Nothing will do like a tank." It never happened, but he never stopped trying. Whenever Wilson was frustrated or surprised, his go-to phrase, and absolutely, "Geez." And then lastly, Brian said, "And as you know, the guy is early devoted to metal." So Wilson, while I couldn't get some tanks here today, I do think I've got, sorry Major Wickham, we got we do got some going away gifts. Go ahead and bring them on out. Yeah. So Wilson, just because we know you love serve mark runs, we're going to send you away with your own whiteboard, all right? Your own dry erase markers. You always got to have a big green notepad and some red pens to mark up work that people send in. And then I used to always drink all of Wilson's coffee when he was the XO AITB. And so we got some Dunkin' Donuts there for you, Wilson. Like Actually, go ahead and give it up. You go ahead and give it to Lieutenant Colonel Leech. We don't want him to forget that.
Larry, that's you. As long as the government doesn't make it down a lot.
So in the summer of 2013, Wilson would leave 1st Recon Battalion and report for duty as the XO of 1st MEF Headquarters Group. And without a doubt, because I've got 2 years on the MEF staff, that's without a doubt the most challenging 06 colonel level command in the MEF. 5 separate and distinct battalions: 1st Anglico, 1st Law Enforcement Battalion, 1st Radio Battalion, 9th Com Battalion, and 1st Intel Battalion. And it's also got the responsibility of supporting the ever voracious appetite of the MEF command element. And so I know when I speak for Colonel Jim Herrera who was the CO then, and Colonel Bobby Shea, who's here today, who's the CO of MHG. What you need in an XO there is just somebody that can get some stuff done. Somebody that can just get stuff done. And that's Wilson to a T. And again, it's about perseverance, commitment, and the other one is being a friend of fellow battalion commanders, being somebody that they can talk to and lend an ear to. And so, again, Wilson stepped to the plate. One more time, Wilson would be called to go forward into a combat zone to support his nation and his corps. It's in January 2015, and the Marine Corps is getting back into Iraq. We're going into Anbar. We're going to stand up these things called Task Force. It's called Task Force Al-Assad. And Wilson stepped forward to volunteer to be the operations officer for Task Force Al-Assad under the command of Colonel Joe Russell, who's here today, our BAF Chief of Staff. And the intent behind these task forces was to go in, partner with the Iraqis, and allow them access to leverage capabilities that they don't have, access to ISR, intelligence collection, long-range fires, and the like. So under Wilson's efforts, they generated that capability and laid groundwork for how the Iraqis are now getting after the fight and prosecuting that fight successfully against ISIS and Anbar. And we are right now getting ready to kick out the 5th rotation of Task Force Anbar to continue to take the fight to ISIS. So over that 6 months, Wilson had his handprints all over that fight, that current fight to remove that evil. So he comes back from that deployment, finishes up his time at MHG in the summer of 2016, heads down to Tactical Training Group Pacific, and which I'm sure Wilson would probably attest to has been his most challenging assignment to date. Because I can't imagine trying to teach the Navy staff planning and how to do amphibious ops. But anyway, I'm sure he did it well, and you heard that in his retirement award there. But not a better guy to go down there and be an ambassador for the Marine Corps and working with our blue brothers down there with the Navy in the tough climbs of La Jolla. Yeah, tough duty down there. But anyway, Wilson once again shouldered that burden. So it brings us to today. But there's somebody else we've got to talk about today. Often said, it probably can't ever be overstated. Behind every good man, behind every good Marine, there's a better woman, and that is definitely the case with Megan. Megan, thanks for supporting Leech. Thanks for supporting Wilson. You've been Leech to me a few times. Leech, get in here. Thanks for loving him and letting him pursue his passion as a Marine. I think if you've been around Megan and Wilson long enough, you know that they are kindred spirits, because her commitment and selflessness is just as great or more so than Wilson's. In the Marine Corps, we talk about Lejeune leadership principles of teach, coach, and mentor. And Wilson didn't learn that from serving with his fellow officers or staff NCOs. He learned that from his wife. And watching her, teach, coach, and mentor, and give back to our Marines and their families, serving 17 years as a teacher at San Onofre Elementary School, and putting her handprints on our Marine Corps, and our Marine Corps families. And so, Megan, thank you. Thank you very much. So I'll close here, and I appreciate your time and patience, but I wanted to do Wilson in this day justice. But Wilson, you've served our country well. You've taken care of your Marines, you've supported your commanders, and you've accomplished the mission. I can think of no higher compliment. And I think I speak for everybody when I say fair winds, following seas, job well done, Marine. And then on a personal note, from me to you, I will tell you that while I'm sad to see you take off the uniform and leave our Corps as a brother Marine, and one to serve alongside, the part that I do find comfort in and look forward to is the fact that our friendship and our relationship can be what it's always been, but never stated, and go from Colonel Gideons to Lieutenant Colonel Leech to Chris and Wilson. And so, from me to you, congratulations, Wilson. Job well done. Ladies and gentlemen, Lieutenant Colonel Wilson Leech, my friend.
There's nothing like being downwind of the border shooters. Good morning, or actually it's now afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. I too am going to use the podium because I'm going to hide behind it. When I thought about making this speech, I think it's physically impossible to thank everyone after 20 years, 23, almost 22, 23 years of service, because all of the people that are here have contributed and are great friends. So, like Colonel Shea taught me long ago, words mean things, Wilson. Words. So, I will do my best, ma'am. I'll try to get through this. But I promise you the stories we'll save for later. There's many, some of heroism and also some of stupidity, but we'll save those for later. So Captain Dowling, of course, Colonel Russell, Colonel Shea, Colonel Gideons, distinguished guests, commanders, officers, senior enlisted leaders, veterans, warriors, family and friends, thank you today for honoring me with your presence on this special occasion. Before I begin, I want to take this opportunity, though Colonel Gideons covered a little bit, we're going to cover it again. First, the chaplain, thank you for your kind remarks. How are you, chaplain? I appreciate that, and I appreciate you putting in a good word upstairs, topside for today's weather, though the wind's going to give me a little bit of difficulty, so I'm going to have to multitask. Please, a round of applause for the 3rd Mall Band, its leadership, especially Gunnery Sergeant Butler, for making this event very special for my family. Please. To Colonel Holt, Lieutenant Colonel Jackala, Sergeant Major Benton, thanks for your help in providing me the opportunity to return home to SOI West, where we make, train, and provide combat-capable Marines, regardless of MOS, and sailors, to the operating forces. Also, a special thanks to the gunfighters, Nate Marvel, Colonel Shea, Sergeant Major Wilson, First Sergeant Miller, Gunnery Sergeant Perry, 1st MHG staff, and the Marines, Lieutenant Colonel Scott Weiss, Major Pat Zuber, the RTC Marines, and of course Brian Evers for all their support. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Colonel Chris Gideons, sir, you did do me justice. I know it's a daunting task to talk about my college career. That's why there are no college friends here today. They don't need to be here. Those skeletons will remain buried, and we'll leave them where they're at. So thank you for those kind words. I've been blessed to be with Colonel Gideons, as he said. He's been a mentor and friend since the 90s. Always the man to motivate, empower me, overcome adversity. He provided me leadership and support during life's challenges, and we had a few. But he also provided support to Megan and I, and he always made recommendations for lifetime goals, lifelong goals. And basically, he embodies our core values, and as always, is respectful of others. So personally, I've tried to mirror his leadership style, and I've been proud to serve with him both as an NCO and officer. Sir, thank you. I can't beat him on the golf course, but I'm going to try one of these days. But hopefully we'll have time later on, so I appreciate it. So I became a lifelong member of the Few and the Proud on 22nd February 94, as mentioned, and I grew to adulthood, as he mentioned, in the Marine Corps, and now I go gray in service to my country and my Corps. I've served under many great leaders. I've led the world's finest Marines in wartime and in peace, in good times and in bad. It's been an incredible honor to serve side by side with selfless men and women who cared more about the Corps than they did about themselves. Together, these magnificent Marines and other service members, to include our Navy brothers and sisters, I've been to places and that have never been heard of and accomplished things that I thought would not be possible. And Colonel Gideon's covered that very well. I've planned and executed complex operations, and for those of us that are the fewer and the prouder, I salute all of my reconnaissance brothers that are here today in body and in spirit. That's a club, so to my recon brothers, thanks for coming today. I have lived my dream. I really have, and I salute and recognize all Marines, all warriors, who are a proud band of brothers and sisters, just as surely as if we shared the same parents. Our Corps is our family. Skylar Grayville's here today. He and I got together and met his family. I'm sure you'll have the opportunity to meet him. He is family, and he was with me during that headquarters support time. So Skylar, it's good to have you here, brother, along with the family, so thanks for coming. So please allow me to leave you with some parting thoughts. I hope it works. And these parting comments are general and hopefully the best. So communicate effectively and listen intently. For today, we sometimes forget to do that. As a reminder, words do mean things. I firmly believe that arrogance and indifference solves nothing, solves no problem. Be open to ideas regardless of rank. Treat all with respect. Protect what you've earned. For you are the future of our Corps. Whether it is to defend this great nation or to live another life adventure, do it with pride and with strength. Remember in life, you cannot choose your family. Our strength lies in each other through teamwork more than individual accomplishments. To all who went before me, to those who've led me, mentored me, stood by my side in good times and in bad, I thank you. I thank you for your professionalism, your guidance, and inspiration. I sincerely hope I was able to meet the mark, live up to your expectations, maintain your respect, and made you proud. For my only goal was simply to support you and be a leader of Marines. To my family, my high school friends, my community friends that are here today, the folks out in town, and especially my wonderful wife, Megan, thank you for your unbelievable support, understanding, and enduring my multi-personalities. Thank you for helping me in so many ways that few ever saw. No matter how great the sacrifice, you always supported me and encouraged me to remain strong. Any success that I enjoyed was made possible by you. So please let us take a moment also to honor our brothers and our sisters who have paid the ultimate sacrifice, and to those veterans who served or have served our country in war and in time and peace. Let's just take a moment. Our liberties and values stand safe today because of brave men and women who stand poised to face the enemy. Share in this kinship of being in the service of this nation. For we are surrounded with spirits of those who have served, those who have sacrificed so much for freedom that we enjoy today. Let us honor them. I am grateful to have served with all of you and to all whom serve this country and in public service. Thank you for protecting us, defending and preserving this great nation. We are resilient, and this afternoon let us rekindle our patriotism For we are diverse and a unified nation that will never yield. We are stronger, we're never outgunned, and will always prevail in times of despair. Simply no one can shatter the foundation of America, for it is the foundation of freedom. Finally, on a personal note, never stop exploring. Make the most out of life, for it's short. Accept every challenge. Seek every adventure. When your time in the Corps is complete and you reflect on your memories, be sure that you've made them the very best. I'm looking forward to a new career, having time and the freedom with my family and friends, and to fly fish uncharted streams. Imagine the joy of traveling without an agenda, no phone calls from the IG, and yes, there are compensations in life during transition. So thank you for sharing with me this celebration. Thank you for your support and friendship over 22 years. I believe this is the best organization in the world, and it will continue to grow and prosper. I trust that each one of you will find and achieve your goals. Truly great friends are hard to find, difficult to leave, and impossible to forget. I shall miss all of you. Keep your powder dry, never get compromised, and always rotate your magazines. Semper Fidelis, and God bless you.
Ladies and gentlemen, in lieu of flowers to Lieutenant Colonel Leach's spouse, a donation has been made to the Semper Fi Fund as a token of his appreciation for her love and support she has provided throughout his career.